All right, good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to have Matt Critchlow cover the work that was completed for Sprint 12. The dates ran from February 16th through the 28th. But before I hand it over to Matt, I just wanted to mention that we are very happy and grateful that Matt was able to step in as our Comet Tech lead while Tom is out on baby leave. So thank you, Matt. Really, really appreciate it. Hand it over to you.
All right, and I'll then mirror that and say, I think the only reason you'd be saying thank you is because the rest of the team has really rallied around keeping things moving as Tom was out and I was out because we had family sickness between sprints 11 and 12. So yeah, I think it's pretty amazing how far this team has come with keeping the train running, as it were. All right, so for this sprint, there are a few things that we got done, which we can demo on the Comet side. And so I'll start with that. And then I think we can maybe talk a little bit more about the sort of general context about what we're working on and the different applications involved and what we're hoping to accomplish wrapping up the work cycle in the next sprint. So let me share my screen. Can everybody see my Comet? Is that a yes?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to hopefully show is some work that was primarily worked on upstream. I believe, Margaret and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this happened in the context of a Hyrax developer congress that happened recently, and which Margaret, Alex, and Tom were a part of. And the work that we're going to show is that characterization was added in for those of us who are using Valkyrie for persistence. And so to show that, I'm going to create a new collection. Call it my photos. And then I'm going to add a couple items to that collection. It is Dr. Seuss week this week. I know that because they're celebrating at my kids' preschool. So just FYI. And we'll do my daughter holding the Lorax book. All right. And so we're going to attach this to the My Photos collection and save it. And so now we have our object. We still don't have the derivatives and everything wired in yet, so we're not seeing the preview images. However, if we click on the file sets, we will hopefully see that it is not yet characterized, but that's okay. Let's, in the meantime, go and add another work to this collection while that is happening. And we'll also add to the My Photos collection. Okay, so go to, oh yes, it has to happen every demo. We go back to the dashboard, objects. We'll go to, let's go back to our original object and see if we have characterization. We do not yet. That's unfortunate. Were you say something, Alex?
Well, I was trying to think why it might not be showing characterization, but
It was yesterday.
it's always,
Let's
yeah,
see.
it's always a fun time when this happens.
I did notice something. I'm just going to try it since we're here, that I noticed some strange behavior and staging around approvals, like unlocking characterization data. Yeah. So that's probably something to look into. I didn't experience this yesterday when I was doing it. But we can see for this image, we have pulled in some basic characterization data. And I'm guessing I may need to do that same thing for our other object. Let's see. Let's go look. Yeah. Prove that, go back to the file set. And there's our basic characterization for that image. So yeah, this work was mostly done upstream. As we just saw, there may be a little work to do around the timing of when that characterization data shows up. But what I would like to also try and show is some work that went in regarding publishing data and has been sort of the larger epic of work that we've been spending a lot of time on in the work cycle recently. So I'm going to go to my dashboard and collections, my photos. And so, so what we have right now, which I think may have been demoed possibly a few sprints ago, is this publish collection button. There are a lot of question marks still, and we have issues for this regarding the various ways in which we want publishing to happen within Comet. And in this context, when we're saying publishing, we mean to make both metadata and in some cases, such as Shoreline, also files available to applications that may want to aggregate and pull in that data, such as the Tidewater OAI PMH application we've been working on. And also Shoreline is another consumer we imagine for this data, and likely eventually Starlight as well. So at the moment, this is a global feature that's enabled at the collection level. It is not under access control yet. We also have issues set up for dialogue around that. What this will do when I hit publish collection is say something went wrong. Let's see if it actually went wrong. If I go to one of these objects. Yeah, something definitely went wrong. Okay. This is great. This worked yesterday. But the idea is when that, when the publish collection is run, we're sending events to a message queue, and we've had work set up, work done by a variety of folks on the team to get RabbitMQ clusters deployed in our various Kubernetes cluster environments. We're using the RabbitMQ operator that's supported by RabbitMQ themselves for deploying those clusters. Ron and Thor and Dan did a lot of work about getting that set up, and we now have that deployed into each of the environments. So when Comet sends the message that this collection should be published, consuming applications like Tidewater will be connected to those RabbitMQ clusters, listening for the events that Comet is publishing there. We're actually quite close to being able to do an initial demo of the complete round tripping of that data with some caveats around around the metadata mapping requirements still. So unfortunately, what I was hoping to show is that when the items are published within the collection, a link will show up on the object view page that will point directly to those items in the discovery platform that they're hosted within. So there would for now be a Tidewater link, but eventually there would also be potentially shoreline links for the geospatial objects. And that would be sort of a quick way, at least within the Comet interface, to go and verify for folks that the data they expected to get there actually did. So I apologize that that part of the demo didn't go quite well, but that's how demos go. So I think I may actually stop sharing and then we can chat a bit more about where we are with this and what's happening in the next sprint. Any questions about that initially before I keep going? Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay. So let's see, like I mentioned, the RabbitMQ work, a lot of it is in place. And as I said, I'm hoping we can do a more thorough demo of that, wrapping up the work cycle. Another new application that was created during the last two sprints and deployed is an API application we're calling Super Skunk. And it is a metadata API that we're using as sort of a bridge between the consumer applications that we've been talking about, like Tidewater and Comet. And so we do, as of the end of this sprint, we have a Helm chart created and we have deployments for that application going to our review environments. And in the next sprint, we're hoping to get the staging and production versions of those up. A goal for that application is to share metadata configuration between Comet and Super Skunk. And Margaret's done a lot of great work on that already. There's a Surfliner schema gem, which has been extracted and exists now for sharing that data between the two applications and allowing us to load the current Hyrax-based metadata model for Comet and Super Skunk. Further work that we're hoping to facilitate is to eventually move towards using the M3 metadata models instead and exploring where we might set up different metadata profiles within those models. And so we could have specific references to, you know, our Tidewater OAI Dublin core metadata mappings and then mappings for shoreline for the geospatial metadata. And so I'll just do a call out for it now that, you know, Margaret's done a write-up for that and also created a Google document. And we're hoping to facilitate feedback from the various subject matter experts during the next few weeks so that that can help guide us towards eventually creating an implementation for that. And then let's see, on the Tidewater side, we also have a Helm chart. We have deployments for review, staging, and production applications. As of quite recently, towards the end of the sprint, we also have a consumer which is being deployed within Tidewater that will read messages off of our RabbitMQ deployments and query Super Skunk for the metadata and then write that data into the Tidewater database so that it can be served up for OAI PMH. We have initial support in for sets, at least modeling them and persisting them in the database. And Vivian has almost wrapped up work on the OAI PMH side for serving out set data. So we're hoping to have that done and demoable before we wrap up the work cycle. Beyond that, I think what I would say about what we're hoping for the next sprint is, like I said, to hopefully be able to show, even if it's a minimalist demo of round tripping data between Comet, Super Skunk, and Tidewater. And we're also going to be putting in a lot of energy into documentation and a bit of code cleanup, trying to leave things as clean as we can before we wrap up this work cycle of being together. So I think that's everything I had to say, unless anybody wants to add anything on the team or if there's any questions.
I just have a question regarding the Comet metadata diagram that Tom shared out not too long ago. Does that more or less show Tidewater and Super Skunk as a part of the diagram? Do you remember?
I believe it does, but I'll have to go look that up and make sure that that's
Okay.
true. If not, I think updating that, I think to your point, would be something to do in this sprint.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. I'll see if I
Yeah.
can find you this week to see if we can review it and see if it's up to date.
Great. That sounds great.
Thanks. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we can wrap this demo up. Thank you again. Thanks, everybody. As Chrissy said earlier, everyone is awesome. So thank you.